Hi guys, today we are going to make our final project. This is it for the course. This final project is going to talk about our last concept, making clones, and it's going to use everything we've learned about so far to make one final game. This game is called Shooter. It's a two-player game. The white gun is controlled by the up arrow and the down arrow, and then the left and right to change the direction, and then space is shoot. The green one is controlled by A and D to rotate, and W and S to move. Z is shoot. So in this game, basically you just go around trying to shoot the other person. And you can hide behind walls to try to deflect the other person. It's kind of hard to play single player because it's a double player game, but it's a pretty fun game once you get used to the controls. Okay, so let's make this game. Open up your Scratch editor. Okay, so the first thing we want to do, we're going to delete our cat sprite. So the shooter game has all the sprites as stuff that I've drawn in the editor. So let's first start up by making all the sprites. But before we do that, let's just color in the background black. You can use a different color scheme than me, but I'm going to make it as the same color scheme that I did before. So zoom in all the way, maybe to 400%. We're going to make a gun. Make the first one white. So to do that, we're going to make it white, like that. Okay, so we have that, and then your version of the gun could be way better. I made a pretty bad version, but it's pretty simple. Well, it looks a little weird. And instead, make it like a square-ish. Okay, so there's our first gun, and it doesn't look that good, but that's okay. Your gun could be way better, but this is how my gun's gonna look. And what I figured out is if I shrink this, it looks a little better. So what we're going to do is we're going to name this Player 1 Gun. And if you click on I, you can name a sprite where you want. So let's duplicate the sprite. And we're going to make it Player 2 Gun. But this gun, we want it to be colored in a different color. And in the previous game, I used this. Okay. So now we have our white gun and we have our green gun. So now we need to create the bullets. We need a green bullet and we need a white bullet. And the bullets are fairly simple to make. It's just a circle. And to make a circle, all you have to do is press Shift while holding the ellipse button. So I'm going to center it by clicking this. And with this tool, I can click any place and make that the center. But I'm going to have the center right about there. Okay, and then I'm going to call this bullet 2. And I'm going to duplicate it. And I'm going to just call this bullet 1. And change the color of this to white. And what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that each bullet can fit into the top of the gun. So we're going to have to make it pretty small. That should be pretty good. And instead of doing the same with this one, I'm going to find the size of this bullet by going into looks and clicking down, double clicking on the size variable. So I know that the size should be 35. So I'm going to go to set size to 35 and just double click on it to make it run. Okay, so now, as you can see, both bullets can fit right in to the gun's shooting area. So how this is going to work is we're not going to have like 15 trillion bullet sprites for every single bullet that the player shoots. We're going to use something called a clone. And a clone is basically these last 3 blocks in the control. And what they do is it just create a clone of myself, literally creates another version of the sprite it's in, except the new version doesn't have any of the code that the beginning sprite did have. It's kind of complicated, but it's pretty simple as you learn. The only code that the new clone has is the when I start as a code block. This is basically a hat block that just has everything that the clone does. The last one is delete this clone, and that just, well, you guessed it, just deletes the clone. So basically, every time the user presses the space button or Z, whichever one you choose to have as your shooting thing, we're going to create a clone of it. Okay, so let's get started by making sure that the player 1 gun and the player 2 gun can move. So let's make a simple program, the forever, and we're just going to go if the left arrow is pressed, then we're going to turn to 15 degrees to the left. And then if the right arrow is pressed, well, we're going to do the same thing, except we're going to turn to the right. And then also, if the up arrow is pressed, we're going to move up. So we're going to use change Y by 10. Or actually, we're not going to use change Y by 10 because in this case, we're not moving up. The up arrow is used to move in the direction that it's pointing at, which is move 10 steps. So let's drag in 10 steps, and let's do the same for down arrow, except change it to move negative 10 steps. And so we got that, but we don't want to put all that code in again to this sprite. There has to be a way that I can transfer this there with like one click. And there is. If you take the block that you want from one sprite, and if you take it and if you put it into the a different sprite, then you still have the main copy in the first sprite. In the second sprite, a duplicate version pops up there. So now, I've clicked the left arrow, well, both of them move, and both of them shoot up. Well, that's not helpful. We want them to both move differently. So we just have to change the keys. So instead of the left arrow, we're going to have A. And then instead of the right arrow, we're going to have D. And instead of the up arrow, we're going to have W. Instead of the down arrow, we're going to have S. So now, if I click D, this one moves. If I click right arrow, the white one moves. And now, they each move on their own. Kinda cool. Okay, so now we got the easy part done. Now it's time to make the bullets shoot. And we always want the bullets to come out of the gun. So the best way to do it is, well, to keep the bullet right on the tip of the gun. So whenever the person shoots, it can just fly off of the gun like that. So to do that, we can just go when green flag clicked. We're just gonna go to bullet 1 forever. And we can say forever because the bullets that are going to be shown are the bullets that are clones. So it's okay if this one's just always in the gun socket. And I'm just going to copy that and put it in here. Ooh, not bullet 1, sorry. We need to have player 1 gun here, and then player 2 gun here. Now, wherever I go, wait a second, why is the bullet in the middle of the gun? That's because the guns are centered in the middle. We need them to be centered in the top area where the gun socket is. When the block go to sprite is used, it makes the sprite go to the sprite that wants to go to, but it would always go to the center. So the way to make sure that it goes to the top is, well, by changing the center to the top. Okay, so now we have both bullets secured in its holster. So let's also add in an if block and say, if key spacebar is pressed, create a clone of myself. And now what's going to happen is every time I press the spacebar, there's a clone of myself, but nothing happened. That's because the clone doesn't have any code. It's not going to do anything. It's just going to stay there behind. So we're going to have when I start as a clone block. And what's going to be here is we just want to move forever, really, until we touch the edge. And then we can just hide ourselves. So let's use a repeat until touching edge. So when I start as a clone, repeat until touching edge. Okay, let's try this out. So go up here, go boom. Well, that didn't shoot properly. It's shooting in the wrong way. That's because the clone is facing a different direction than the gun is. So we're always going to want to point in the direction of the gun. And to get the direction of the gun, we need to use this block, or variable, and do player to gun. Okay, now we're gonna boom, 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 boom. That's cool. Gun sprite we got now. But once it hits the edge, we want it to go away. And if you remember in the game, when it hit the edge, it made this cool ghost effect. If you want to do that, it's really just using this block. What I did was I did repeat 10 times and used this ghost effect. And ghost effect basically makes it a little bit transparent. And 100 ghost effect is totally transparent. And 0 is normal. So I just made it have that effect by doing repeat 10 times, change ghost effect by 10. Well, let's try this out. Now that has that better-ish thing. But I don't like it how I can just have this like wall of or line of shooting. That seems a little unfair. So I'm gonna make it so that can't happen by putting a small weight of, I don't know, half a second, maybe? Yeah, that's a little better. Or actually, I'm gonna make it 1 second. Now, it takes that long for the gun to reload. Okay, so we have to put all this stuff into the other bullet as well, so the white one will work too. Remember, we want to get rid of this because we already have this one in here and change everything to player 1 and change this to Z player 1 and that should be enough. So now we both got some guns working. Oops. Okay. So now we have the guns working, but when the guns hit each other, the bullet hits the other person or gun, it doesn't do anything. So let's change that. Let's say put an if into the repeat until, because the repeat until is where the bullet is moving. So let's say if touching the other gun, player 2 gun, in this case, we want to end the game because now we know that the white player has won. But we want to tell that to everyone so we can put the white player wins sign up. If you remember in the previous game, to do that you have to use a broadcast. So let's use broadcast and create a new message that says white player wins. Okay. Now you just gotta put the same thing into the other bullet. Now we can just drop that right there. Reverse all this. Green player wins. Now we have to use the new background. So we're gonna have 2 backgrounds, and we're gonna use vector this, and one of them is gonna say white player wins. And the other is going to say green. I'm just gonna use normal cap. Player wins. Green player wins. we're going to rename these backgrounds to white and green. And all we have to do here is when green player wins, switch it to green. When white player wins, switch it to white. And also at the beginning of the game, we need to remember to reset to the main one. Okay? Let's use this. Shoot him. Boom! Green player wins. And let's try see if white works well. Oops. White player wins. Okay, so now the only thing that's remaining is the maze part. The maze part is pretty simple. All we have to do is we gotta paint the maze, which can take some time. So I'm just gonna make a simple maze here. I'm gonna do this fast, so if it doesn't come out looking good, that's totally fine for me. Okay, so we're gonna want to center this in the middle. And do one green flag clicked, go to middle, and if you have multiple mazes, then you can also do switch to random costumes. So pick a number between 1 to 2 because we have 2 costumes. So yeah, and then that's really it for the maze. So now, problem is that the player can run right through the cones maze. To fix that, basically all we have to do is we need to see after every single move, is it touching the red? And if it's touching the red, we're going to use touching color and click on the green, click back onto the red to get the exact color. Touching color, we're just going to reverse what we did so it can go back to normal. And we just need to do this. And I'm going to change this to -15. And here, we move 10 steps, so we want to reverse it if it's touching the maze. So we can go back to normal. Move 10 steps, and we want to change this to 10 steps. Okay, so now all we have to do is, well, do it to this player 1. And to make it easier, I'm just going to delete this and just change the keys. So A is left, right, up, down. And our game is officially finished. Except when a gun lands on one of the maze blocks. So we have 2 fixes. We could have a fixed spot for both of the guns. That's what we're going to do in this case. So I'm going to just say go here, and that's -196 x and -132 y. And then for this guy, we want 210 x and 131 y. So now, boom! But the bullets go through the lines as well. So we gotta change that. So instead of saying if touching, repeat until touching edge, we're also gonna say or if you touch the color red. Because if you touch the color red, well then you want to be done as well. So we're going to do the same thing for the other one. That's the wrong place. We actually want to put it in here because that's where we want it. Now, boom. Let's move that up. Oops, get this. So that means that we either put it wrong here, and we did. So we did put it wrong here. So we're going to actually want to put it here. Now, go boom. And we'll try for this one. Boom. So now our game is officially finished. Thank you for finishing this course. I congratulate you on finishing all the videos. Now, you should be able to explore Scratch on your own. Remember, my only tip is just read the block. If you can't understand it from there, use this and use the help buttons and learn it. In my next course, which will be coming out soon, it could be out already by the time you're watching this, but my next course has a bunch of games and more learning and a bunch of step-by-step games for you. Thank you for watching this video. I hope to see you in my next course.